Here to cover all things crime, history, and politics, we are at the desk. I'm your host, Sophia Tabernet, and in today's episode, we will be talking about the controversy surrounding deportation rights, playing a game of History Jeopardy, and discussing the tragic case of Gabby Petito. Now come take a seat with us at the desk. Welcome back to ATD. First, it's time to send it over to the politics panel to discuss the case of a Maryland man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador. Over to you, Yaya.
Thanks, Sophia. El Salvador has been popping up in the news cycle more frequently these days, but not as a tourist destination. On March 15th, a Maryland man by the name of Kilmar Abrego Garcia was mistakenly deported to El Salvador. The courts have ordered that he be returned to the United States. However, Salvadoran President Nayib Bukele has said he does not have the power to return Abrego Garcia. Before we look at the incident as a whole, Jackson, can you tell us a little bit more about Bukele?
Yes, he's an interesting guy. So he started his career in the late 90s as a businessman, ran an advertising agency, and didn't actually join politics until 2011, where he was a member of the FMLN. And then he was actually kicked out of that party in 2017, and that led him to found the Nuevas Ideas Party in 2019 and run for president, in which
How'd
he
you
won.
pronounce it?
Nuevas Ideas. No, I say ideas. No, I think it's ideas because it's like
Nuevas Ideas.
Ideas, but I say ideas because it's new ideas. That's why I
Cool.
imagined it. Yeah.
All right.
Anyways, he won the election, won 53% of the vote, and he's now president. Has been president since June 1st, 2019. And he originally considered himself a leftist, but he's now considered more of a right-wing populist because of his extreme views on crime and things of that sort.
I think one thing that was so interesting to me is that he is El Salvador's 81st president. I've not heard of a country with that many presidents. The country I'm from has only had 5. So I don't know. That was just something that was funny to me. But Jordan, what do you think about that conversation that him and Trump had in the White House?
It's a little bit concerning seeing where the state of everything is, especially when it comes to those deportations that we've seen happening recently. And I think that's the thing that kind of is part of this situation where they're saying, oh, we think he's affiliated with terrorist organizations or gangs, but they don't have a lot of basis behind that. So we're seeing people being deported without actual investigations into these things. And that's not just an issue with this case. It's been an issue with all the not all, but a lot of the deportations that we've seen. And it kind of comes back into this is a prime example of someone that maybe shouldn't have been deported is deported. And now there's really not any efforts being made to get him back from the U.S. government, from Venezuelan government, or El Salvador. And that's the concern.
So there's been a couple things that have been brought to light. So Abrego actually came to the U.S. illegally. That's just a fact. So Ryan, I want to ask you, even though they haven't found any connection with any Venezuelan gangs that Trump has claimed that all
They claim the knuckles.
exactly like that Trump has claimed to be on these flights, these deportation flights. At the end of the day, he came to the U.S. illegally. So do you think that that's kind of justification for leaving him there? Do you think there should be like a different process for people who came to the country illegally?
Well, there actually is a different process.
Tell us
Now
about
you
that.
now you cannot get married to a U.S. citizen and simply be a U.S. citizen. Then you could, obviously, that is the case with him. He's married in the United States, so a legal citizen. He himself has some questions to his citizenship, but I think the question here that Senator Van Hollen's bringing up is, doesn't he deserve a trial before he gets thrown into another country? And doesn't the United States have to listen to the courts? Doesn't the federal government have to listen to the courts in the checks and balances system? Senators like Chris Van Hollen are saying yes, and that they're defying court orders, but Trump has a good argument saying that El Salvador wants him, and El Salvador does not have to listen to the United States courts. So it's really something that I just think the Supreme Court is going to have to settle, and we're just going to have to hope that the United States federal government is going to listen to the Supreme Court, because there's a lot of rumors that they might not.
Yeah. So there was a delegation that recently went to El Salvador. They said that they were not able to meet with Abrego
Garcia.
Garcia. It's kind of scary. Ryan P., what do you think?
Well, it is a little scary because he didn't get any due process, and here in the United States, immigrants, illegal or not, do get due process. But he was not given that. He was shipped away from his family, and now he's stuck there. And I don't know if you guys have seen any of the pictures that came out with him and the Maryland senator. They don't really show his face. They're not really showing his face at all. And there's not rumors, actually, it was confirmed they were setting up like margarita glasses to create a show of the whole thing. And it's pretty scary. It just makes me wonder how many people are in a similar situation to him right now that were scooped up based off of their tattoos and are now being kept in this foreign prison and given no hope of coming back. And I think on top of all of that, just a straight defiance of the Supreme Court is just kind of scary to look at, and it kind of seems like they're just going to completely rush over it. I mean, that's what the Trump administration would love if everyone quickly moved on from the fact that they are not listening to the Supreme Court, but that is the case right now.
Yeah, and to his point, when he was talking about the glasses, originally when Van Hollen was going to meet with Garcia, that was the senator from Maryland, Van Hollen, and Garcia, the prisoner in Socotra, they were sitting down, and the original meeting was supposed to be in front of a pool. They said, no, we're not going to do that. Well, Van Hollen said, I'm not going to sit in front of a pool, because he realized it was, quote unquote, being staged. So they sat in front of a table, and they were given margarita glasses, and it was very clear and obvious that Garcia's glass was lower than Van Hollen's. But the mistake that they found was that there was spices on the top rim of the glass, and there was no hole in the spices that it had been drank in. So that's the big question on if it was a setup or not. But I think what's really frustrating here is that clearly El Salvador is hiding something, because they wanted to have this meeting in front of a pool, and they wanted to put photos of him in a different uniform than they put on him in CCOT. I called it Socotra, sorry, CCOT.
It's hard to pronounce the name sometimes, yes. Well, Garcia is a guy who, I don't know too much about him. I did some research into him. His wife actually did file a civil complaint against him back in 2021. She alleged he was abusing him. She's now withdrawn those claims. So I have to question what that's all about. Yeah. And he was arrested back in 2019 along with two other alleged MS-13 gang members because they were wearing Chicago Bulls memorabilia, which is oftentimes in the United States used as a way to kind of be like cartel imagery or gang imagery because of the horns, which is obviously seen in MS-13 imagery. And that's why he was arrested in it was a Home Depot parking lot back in June or May of 2019. So that's where his criminal allegations started, really. And yes, he obviously did enter the country illegally back in 2012. So he is a criminal from that standpoint alone. But yeah, the violent allegations come from that initially.
In 2019, when he got arrested, he got arrested off of a faulty informant. The detective that gave the information that got him arrested was not disbarred, but he was removed. He was suspended from service. So in the court system, they found this in its bond hearing. However, there was no evidence, substantial evidence, aside from wearing Chicago Bulls merch, that this man is a felon or has committed any crime, really. And that's just kind of crazy. He convicted of no crime. What is there anything really aside from what'd you say? The strike.
In 2021, his wife did file a report, and she's now withdrawn those. Now his wife is advocating for him to be returned, but she withdrew them right after he was deported in March, and now she's coming out and saying he didn't do this. We settled it, or we figured out a way to communicate through it. But she did obviously report him for a very serious crime back in those days. So I really wonder what that's all about and why she was motivated to withdraw those claims.
I want to move to the courts, especially the Supreme Court. I think this is a very interesting conversation because as we see it, the Supreme Court voted unanimously for Kilmar to be returned home. However, we see from the Trump administration that they're saying something else entirely. They're saying that the courts voted in their favor. So, Jordan, what do you think of this, what we would perceive as open defiance of the Supreme Court?
Well, and I think, this is one example of a bigger issue within the administration. Kind of like Ryan was saying, due process. We're not seeing that. That's a problem that we should be seeing. People shouldn't be shipped out of this country without that due process. And then that also falls into this bigger issue of the Supreme Courts have orders that aren't being listened to. So those are two things that I think need to be addressed and that need to be fixed. You can't go around without giving people their due process. You can't go around ignoring the Supreme Court. Like you guys were saying, there's checks and balances. And with this administration not listening and following those checks and balances, what good is that going to do? We have a system that's been in place for so long for a reason. We have to follow through with that.
So here's something that I think is very clear and obvious, was that the Trump administration admitted in court, his lawyer said, this was an administrative error. He should not have been deported. But now the question is, does the Supreme Court see that the United States has the federal authority, or I guess the international authority, to pull Garcia out of another country's prison? That's the big question that they have right now. Van Hollen claims yes, the senator who's obviously basically representing him in the media. But the real question is can the Supreme Court force the federal government to pull somebody out of, I guess now, an ally's prison? That's the big question.
They gave the order, didn't they?
They gave the order, but do they have the ability?
But I think
can't force
ability-
him to
Will
do
El
anything.
Salvador
And
let him walk out?
I guess that's the
question.
whole problem with the Supreme Court and the Trump administration now, is that they're giving orders and there's no real way to enforce these.
But I also
these
think
orders.
the difference there is seeing a little bit more action from the administration instead of saying, nothing I can do.
Right.
You could try a little harder. You could be having conversations. If they were doing that, that would be one thing. Because you're right. You can't just say, I want this person that you took. That's not how that works. But putting in the effort and showing that they're trying to resolve the situation is what we should be seeing. But they're not doing that. They're just throwing in the towel without even putting up a fight.
Well, the president of El Salvador is actually a more extreme version of Trump. I mentioned earlier. He's very hard on crime. He wants to set this example of, we're going to punish this guy, whatever reason he
Not a big
wants.
believer in due process.
Yeah,
either.
he's not. And so whatever motivation he has, to keep him in the country and, make this like big strongman appearance, there's going to be two conflicting personalities of both Kelly and Trump, where they want to be the big strongman here and punish criminals. And that's why this whole thing is not going to work out. And that's why they won't comply with each other, I would think.
The other thing, too, is the conservative media loves this. The White House posted Trump with a picture of his knuckles and said, this is the evidence we have, basically. He didn't directly say this, but I believe it was along the standpoint of, this is the evidence we have of, him being a member of MS-13. And it was the knuckles that matched the average MS-13 member, that being tattoos. And I think the conservative media is just loving the fact that they can paint Senator Van Hollen, that they can paint Kamala Harris or any Democrat as somebody that's advocating for an MS-13 member. But the problem is that they won't acknowledge that the word alleged fits in there, because there is no court of law to prove that he is a member of MS-13, and there's no jury that can officially say, we found him guilty of being a member of MS-13.
And I mean, they've said they can't bring him back, and that's just not true. They absolutely can bring him back. This is something they have done before. Do you really think if Donald Trump put the pressure on this guy wouldn't want to, look good to him, send that guy home? You think if you really put the pressure on him, he would just say, no, we're not getting him back? No, that's just not true. I think Michaela, it was said, I saw someone on CNN saying that he will do, if he was told by the United States to dance into the El Salvador town square with the American flag on, he would absolutely do it. I think if the tariff situation is really about getting leverage and negotiating deals with other countries, could he not easily apply that to this situation?
Easily. I agree. It's the question.
Well, I don't
is
think Trump
court.
wants him back. I think
That's
the whole
the-
issue. He
That's
doesn't want
exactly
him
what
back.
I was
I'm
going
saying-
to
the
say.
I'm saying
Can
it
the
can't
court bring him
happen.
back?
It can happen.
He doesn't want
But he kind of,
Right.
but it kind of has to happen because then again, that goes back to the question of checks and balances. If the Supreme Court says you have to bring him back, you have to bring him back. Like this is the law of the land. This is the Supreme Court of the land. Like it's literally in the name. So now we're getting into issues of constitutionality because if the president of a democratic nation can now start ignoring like the law, which he says he's so big on law and order, then it's like what boundaries are we going to be crossing next? And I think it's like if he really wants to be big on crime, then he should do things the legal way. If the Supreme Court's telling you to bring him back, if you want to deport him after, bring him back, give him a due process, give him a trial, and then if you find that he still needs to be deported, then well, that sounds really callous, but like do what you need to do as long as it's within the legal bounds.
Well, and again, that's where it comes into this is an institutional problem with things not being done the proper way. And I think if this administration would take the time to do things the proper way, you can still be hard on crime. You can still be for deportations, but doing it in a way that is legal and followed by the book, it makes it more effective than just saying, let's throw a bunch of people on a plane and send them out of here.
They know what they're doing when they're doing it this way, though. The randomness, the quickness of the headlines, everything. They love the speed of the way they do things because it keeps people distracted and it keeps people from having a long-term memory, I guess, in a way. Like right now, I think they're just going to wait for this whole thing to blow over, and there's a very good chance it might, because people have very short-term memories, and that is the unfortunate part.
They'll be distracted by the next thing that's
They'll
hitting.
be distracted by
They already
whatever
are.
other
Well,
art,
yeah,
whatever
right.
else he says.
It's already
that makes
falling
the
behind.
news, you know?
I'm wondering if the Democrats are going to use this opportunity to do, as what we were saying last episode, bite back and kind of use this situation with Abrego Garcia to kind of show that they're actually doing something. Because, you know, again, Van Hollen, that whole delegation that went to El Salvador to try and kickstart talks of bringing him back, this might become their kind of focal point for fighting back against the administration. So I think that's also another angle that it can be taken, but we'll have to see and keep a close eye on it, because one of my biggest concerns is that he's going to be killed in
I think they're going to lose him. I think they're not going to be able to find him.
I don't think they're gonna. Yeah, like that's, and the way that Bukele has been talking, like I wouldn't be surprised if he was the type to disappear people as well. But in the interest of time, we're going to shift our conversation and we're going to talk about Harvard. Big bucks on the line, $2.2 billion, and Harvard has just filed a lawsuit against the administration. So I'm gonna throw this out. Somebody give us the situation. Like, why are they suing Trump and his administration?
Well, I think I could provide an answer, I guess. Well, they're suing the administration because the Trump administration gave them basically a list of guidelines that they would have to follow if they wanted to receive that federal funding. And among them was the enforcement of almost like a twisted version of DEI on the conservative side, where they wanted them to enforce clearing out staff, bringing in new professors, changing curriculum, basically making it more open or easier for conservative or right-wing voices to get in. And I get it from you want to have diverse schools, you want to have diverse viewpoints, people talking. It's good for America, it's good for democracy, but then what's the whole point of affirmative action? What was the whole mess over that? It just feels very, well, the main issue with it, I'll say, is that he wanted clearly, and it's in the letter that is public that they wrote to them, a mass overhaul of how they do their curriculum in favor of right-wing politics.
Right. They referred, so after getting hit with the lawsuit, several people in Trump's administration have referred to this letter that was sent to Harvard as an error. Jackson, what do you make of that? Like, we've been seeing a lot of quote unquote errors on the part of the administration, but this one over $2.2 billion, that's not small. So what do you make of them? Do you think they're backpedaling? Do you think it was actually a mistake?
Well, no, as far as the administration making errors, the administration is doing a lot of things. They've done a lot in the first 3 months or whatever. So when you do that many things, you're going to inevitably make some errors. And I know the Trump administration, of course, makes some errors. But as far as the Harvard funding, Harvard is a private university who wants federal funding, which is obviously public money, essentially coming from the federal government. So if they need to give into some demands to Trump, if they want federal funding, I think that they should probably just do it, unless they don't want to get the $2.2 billion. That's my opinion on that, because they're a private institution. institution. They have a lot of money in of themselves. They're, like you said, the wealthiest university in America. So, I mean, yeah, if you're a private institution requesting federal money, which is public money, you should probably give in to whatever source is giving you that money. That's my opinion on that.
It's not even about the my biggest concern with it is because that money's not going to that money's not going into like regular student like day-to-day stuff. It's going into research.
Mhm.
That's going into cancer research, Alzheimer's research. These Ivy Leagues, these elite schools have very productive research teams that need funding like this, and now they're all at stake. The other day, or not even the other day, this morning, over 150 U.S. college presidents affirmed their schools and stood with Harvard, saying faculty, students, and staff are free to exchange ideas and opinions without fear of retribution, censorship, or deportation. Among these schools are Princeton, Tufts, Yale, the likes. What my point is, though, is that we're seeing these schools now band together because they know how important the research they do is, or the work that they do is, and by suing the Trump administration, they're kind of just putting their foot in the ground, like, hey, we're going to keep doing things our way. I don't know if how well it'll go in court for them, but
Well, and I think it's a powerful thing to see these universities banding together and Harvard, going after with this lawsuit. And I think, it kind of shows like, hey, we don't agree with what's happening here. We don't like what you're doing. So we're not just going to sit here and say, oh, okay, it is what it is. And to me, it's just petty. You don't like, we don't want to do what you want us to do. So we're just going to take away your money. It's petty. This research, like you said, the money is used for research. It's used to help benefit the American people, all people. And the fact that the Trump administration is going to sit here and go, you're not going to listen to every little thing I want you to do, therefore we're going to pull that. It just feels petty, but that's how I would describe this administration. It's very petty in what they do.
on top of all that, the executive shouldn't even have control over federal funds like this. That's the part nobody is talking about. He has no power to impound these federal funds going to universities, and nobody is talking about that.
Well, who
part.
should then?
We should.
We should, because
For-
that's important. It's a constitutional.
It's a tool
thing.
out of the
It's
Reagan book, the Highway Act.
Well, as you can see, obviously, it's looking like this administration is trying to consolidate more and more power in every aspect of American life. And I think as citizens, we need to stay informed and we need to follow what's going on, regardless of what side of the aisle that you're on. Unfortunately, that is all of the time that we have for today. The Trump administration has not been pulling punches when it comes to immigration. However, as they face pushback from the public and the courts, one is left to wonder how this battle will end. That is all the time we have for tonight and this semester. On behalf of Politics Panel, thanks for sticking with us. We'll save you a seat next semester at the desk. Back to you, Sophia.
Thanks, Siaya. Stay tuned for our crime panel as they analyze and discuss the tragic case of Gabby Petito. We'll be right back at the desk. We are once again back at the desk. It's time to send it over to the crime panel to discuss the Gabby Petito case and the importance of domestic violence awareness. Over to you, Eva.
Thanks, Sophia. In the summer of 2021, what began as a dream road trip turned into a national nightmare. Gabby Petito, a 22-year-old girl with a growing social media presence, set out with her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, to travel across the country in a van. By late August, Gabby was missing, and Brian had returned home to his parents' house in Florida. The story unfolded in real time, with family and friends of Gabby's posting on social media, and the case gained real traction all across the country. On September 19th, Gabby's remains were discovered in Wyoming, with the cause of death being strangulation. Brian Laundrie vanished shortly after becoming a person of interest, and his remains were found in a nature reserve in Florida, along with a notebook confessing responsibility of Gabby's death. This case dives into the truths about domestic violence and the role of social media in shaping public perception. Today, we will discuss what makes this case so heartbreaking and the lessons that can be learned from Gabby Petito's tragic story. Alrighty, guys, I'm going to throw it over to Kara to kind of give us an overview about this case.
Yes, so just super quickly to get into it to make sure that we're all on the same page here and everyone at home is all on the same page. A quick timeline. So the couple actually got engaged in 2020, and then a year afterwards, they planned to leave for this road trip. They left July 2nd of 2021, and they started off to kind of go see all the national parks and whatnot. August 12th, in Utah, police responded to a domestic violence call while they were in a national park and had a little bit of a spat there, but eventually no one ended up getting charged for anything. No one got arrested or in trouble because there wasn't enough evidence. So just kind of moved on past that. August 25th is when Nicole, Gabby's mother, last spoke to Gabby, spoke to her on the phone, said that everything was fine. She was enjoying the trip, normal kind of voice, demeanor, nothing seemed to be wrong. However, just a couple days afterwards, Gabby's mother said that she received a couple of strange texts coming from Gabby's phone in regards to her grandfather. And I'm sure we can get into that later, but definitely afterwards, a couple of red flags popped up. And then September 1st, Brian returned to Florida at his parents' home without Gabby. And Gabby's whole family was actually unaware of this because they officially reported her missing September 11th. And then when they talked to the police, they had notified her and said, oh, Brian returned back home in Florida. And she had no idea. And then September 17th is when the Laundrie's family, Laundrie's reported Brian missing as well. So he went missing a couple days afterwards. Supposedly told his family he was going for a hike in some type of county reserve and then just kind of disappeared. September 19th is when Gabby's remains were found in Wyoming. And then October 20th is when Brian's supposed remains were found as well. Mm-hmm.
So that lays it all out there.
Little overview. Definitely a lot of stuff that happened. I mean, going from summer all the way into fall, a lot of stuff transpired.
And we'll dive into all the little nuances about this case that you kind of briefly mentioned. But first, I want to hand it over to Emily. This is her first time on the crime panel.
Yes, welcome.
So we'll say hi, Emily.
Okay. So I just kind of want to talk about what happened when Brian did return home, because as we know, he came home, Gabby was nowhere to be found, which really posed a lot of questions on whether or not the parents were involved. And as evidence is surfacing, it is becoming more and more clear that there is no possible way that the parents were not involved. I mean, as soon as the police arrived to their house, they were like, you can't speak to us. We have an attorney. Like, speak to our attorney. And
I mean, like, first of all, as they should, because they're exercising their rights, so you can't blame them for that.
Yeah. However, that is super sus.
That is super suspicious.
No, it doesn't.
Especially when you add the fact that they said that Brian flew home, but the van was in the driveway.
Yep.
So how did the van end up in the driveway?
The story is not
her van. Yeah.
Her van.
And they were very defensive. They were like, we will not talk to you. He will not talk to anybody. Like, that is not happening. And there also surfaced a letter that Brian's mom wrote to him. On the front of the letter, it literally reads, "Burn after you read," which obviously he did not do. But a lot of the contents of this letter are very incriminating and very just loaded. I mean, she says, if you end up in jail, I'll bake you a cake with a file in it. She says, if you need help disposing a body, I'll bring a shovel. Like, she is just pointing finger after finger that she is guilty of something and he is guilty of something. I mean, she directly says, if you end up in prison or if you need help disposing a body, which I don't know.
That's not something I feel like a normal mother says.
That's
on the
not
DMs.
like a
Not
dynamic you really see
a
in
letter that's-
families.
Yeah, right.
One
Definitely
1000%.
suspicious.
And
Yeah.
then, like, one last little piece of evidence that was huge for me is the calls that Brian made to his parents the day of Gabby's death.
Yeah.
He made a 55-minute call to his parents the exact day, like 20 minutes after Gabby died. You cannot tell me that that was not, oh, hey guys, this trip is great.
He was making his plan. He was telling his parents what to do. He was asking for advice. Oh,
Exactly.
it's so, it's
And
laid out
even when
there.
you see them now, they're still in hiding, which is absolutely
Yes.
crazy. This happened, I mean, not that long ago, but
Yeah.
long ago. I mean, are they not going to live their life?
It's
Are
still
they-
new enough that new things are coming out about
and
this
also,
case.
their son is dead, right? So I feel like they could be, advocating for domestic violence survivors,
Or mental health.
or mental health, like because of
he
Brian
obviously
Laundrie.
struggled,
Yeah. So, but they're just sitting in their house,
Yeah.
which I think is like family, like
And the
stuff.
letter that he
It's-
wrote, like, supposedly taking responsibility.
Wrote out the details of the
Yes,
confession.
and it was not the same story
No.
as what actually happened.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's no
according to her
conspiracy.
autopsy.
I don't think we're ever going to really truly know
Yeah,
the actual story of it.
of course.
And I want to talk a little bit more in depth. Kara, you mentioned it weeks before she went missing and all of that happened. They had a run-in with Utah State Police.
They did.
Basically, on August 12th, a witness, called in saying there's a spat between a man and a woman. She's kind of fighting him, something to do with the car keys, and it just didn't look good.
No.
So, and by the way, there's body cam footage out there of all of this happening.
Oh, you can find any of this.
You can find all of
It's
this.
so upsetting. Heartbreaking.
But when they immediately pulled them over, they walk up to Gabby. She is crying. You can tell something was happening before this. And they immediately split up Gabby and Laundrie. And you can tell the differences between how they spoke to them immediately.
Oh my gosh.
They
Yeah.
never once asked Gabby, do you feel safe with him? No, all of it was her fault because, and you'll probably talk more about domestic abuse victims. Immediately she was like, it's my bad. I was being mean. I have this thing and I have anxiety. And so I caused this.
It
We
was
say that a lot.
I was going to say, just to add in, the story changed. So originally, the witness who called in said that he saw Brian
Yes.
hit Gabby.
Yes.
And then when the police came to question, she said she was the one who hit Brian because she was upset about the keys and he like grabbed her in response.
Yes.
This is a very common. I'll let you finish before I go into it. But like with domestic violence and manipulation, I mean, Brian was probably so manipulative towards
Oh my
Gabby
God.
that he
Absolutely.
took blame for what he did because in reality she loved him, and I know that's hard
She
for
did.
people to understand because it's like, how could you love someone that's so abusive? But I've learned she really loved him. I mean, she wanted to protect him. So the fact that if she said, yeah, he hit me, obviously he would go bye-bye to jail. I mean, we would have hoped. But so her taking the blame is a very clear sign that maybe there was some coercion going on, which we'll talk about in a second. But
Absolutely. And
Sorry.
while watching the body cam footage, you can see while he is talking to the police, he is a very charming, very he is laughing while they're asking him about the scratches on his neck.
He was making jokes.
They were making
He was making jokes.
Yeah.
And the police officers were very comfortable with it. I think a little too comfortable with him.
Yeah.
Not knowing everything. Why are you talking about your personal life with somebody? That's just my opinion. But there is one pivotal piece in the body cam footage. All of the officers are talking to each other and they're like, what do we do with them? Do we split them up for a night? They live in a van. They're not from here. They don't know anybody. What do we do? They were even talking about pressing charges
They
on
were.
Gabby.
Yep.
Which is
they did it, and they were like, you know what? We'll be nice. We'll not press any charges.
Yeah.
But they eventually split them up for the night, put him in a nice hotel room so he can get a nice shower and just have a break. And they were told to not communicate with each other until the next day. Now we can assume that that never happened.
It didn't. They
immediately
No.
met up that night, and
Which is just
unfortunately,
very
the rest is
sad.
history.
It's just very sad, and I think the cops reacting that way, it honestly made the situation worse
It
because
did.
imagine if like Brian probably was so angry that Gabby reacted that way that he probably did something even worse to her.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why people are afraid to leave, and I'll talk about that in a second. That is why people are so afraid to speak out, is because if nothing happens, if there's not a guarantee that charges will be pressed, then they're going to be let back into that environment, and it's just going to go 10 times worse.
Going
That's
off
what
of that,
happened.
like there was a photo that came from Gabby's phone where her face was clearly swollen, and there was a
She
cut.
had bruises.
Yeah.
And
The
like
police saw her bruises.
And the
and it
thing
didn't
that
do
is-
anything.
the thing that is absolutely crazy to me is when they were standing in that circle, he
Oh
literally
my
said, situations like this, the woman always ends up dead. It's like, but I don't think it's gonna escalate to that point.
It happened all the times in the past. I don't
Not
think
even
this
2
time
weeks
it's going to
later.
happen.
I have a statistic here from my class. Battering
Yes.
is the #1 cause of women injury.
Yeah.
Which is,
Wow.
it happens so much more than anyone thinks. And I think that's what I've taken away from my class. Everyone should take it. It is the best class. But it happens way more than you think. And people don't speak out, and people don't talk about it because of things like this. And you know what? People end up speaking out when it's too late. And I want to talk about the methods of coercion, because I think there was a lot of coercion with this case and with
Absolutely.
Brian Laundrie. And I think, honestly, every method that I have written down that I've learned in class really applies. There's situational partner violence, which is violence in which a couple has conflicts that turn verbal, then physical. So this probably started as a verbal argument that then went physical. That is the most common type of like domestic violence that we see. Then there's intimate terrorism. One partner is terrorizing another so they can overtake complete control.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe oh my God, I was talking about a wrong case. Brian Laundrie, sorry, I was talking about Idaho murder. Sorry, I've been researching that one. Brian Laundrie had complete control over Gabby, and I've learned that this is almost entirely happens by mail. They use violent and non-violent means to take control. And then violent resistance, where the victim actually resists control of their abuser, and it adds more violence. So if Gabby Petito maybe, fought back against Brian Laundrie in that moment and he hit her, then the violence escalates into so much. And another thing I want to talk about is when this case was happening, there were a lot of things of why didn't she leave? If he was abusive to her, why didn't she leave earlier? And there are a ton of reasons why people don't leave, and people often victim blame.
You don't know until it happens to you.
We played a game in class, and I was like, "Oh, I would 100% leave." And then the money was gone, my support was gone, my
Her life.
my
I mean,
life
he was
was
everything.
gone.
Let alone you
I
have
mean,
kids.
Yeah, kids. And it's so clear why someone couldn't leave. She was trapped. She was trapped in the middle of nowhere. Poor girl.
She was trapped. What was she gonna do? She had no one else.
Thousands of miles away from home.
Physically,
Miles
mentally,
away.
emotionally, like even if she finally, like you said, found that courage to go and leave,
That's
they're
hard.
in a van together in like the middle of Wyoming. Where is she
Yeah.
gonna go? What is she gonna do?
Yeah.
And
And it could be so easily twisted back onto her
You
too.
left him there, absolutely.
she also wanted to leave. In the documentary on Netflix, which by the way is amazing.
Documentary.
So good.
Yeah, please watch it.
Yeah,
They- her ex, they interview him.
Oh,
And
yeah.
He was like,
Oh,
yeah,
I
she
forgot about
and
this
she
part.
had a whole plan.
Oh.
She was going to leave. She
And
was
I
going
have
to
a
leave.
theory that he might have found that call,
Absolutely.
found that text or something, and it put him over
That
the
could have
edge.
been
Would
the big
not
final
be-
fight that
not be
pushed her over the edge.
surprising in the
So
slightest.
she told him, I'm gonna leave, and then that's what happened. But
Yep.
And that's why
at
people
the
don't
end
leave.
of the day, like
Yeah.
she wanted to leave. She
Yes.
did not want to be there.
Yeah.
And so you can't victim blame because
No.
they might not even want to be there. I mean, she's
and it's unfortunate.
thousands of miles away from home,
Yeah.
knowing no one. She's in a van, and she wanted to leave.
Now, something I do want to bring up that I think is very interesting about this case, and I do feel like it is very different than a lot of other cases we see, and you'll see this watching the documentary or clips on YouTube, is she was very into social media.
Yes.
She was
She was.
documenting this
That's
entire
hard.
I
journey.
actually was
Yes.
just about to
It's
bring that up.
huge part of this case. That is why
Mhm.
there's so much footage of them together. That's why this documentary is filled of clips of them. And you can
Absolutely.
even see in these videos that they have together that he is distressed. He's not into the videos. He's giving her
No.
weird looks, weird glances. You can tell there just was a weird vibe
Her
between
light
them.
And that's on video.
Her light
Off
on
video.
video. Right.
The light leaves
Yeah.
her
Off video, and that was on video. Imagine what was behind the scenes.
And also, I find it interesting because if you still go on Gabby's social media today, there are posts still up. I mean, it's like a time capsule in time,
And
it's just you can never trust. And this is a lesson for everything. You can never trust what you see on social media.
Absolutely not.
People may seem like the happiest couple in the world, or even our age. And I say this all the time. People might seem like the most perfect person on social media,
It's
but
not
then when you
true.
go and you really
At
think
all.
about them, they have problems of their own.
Absolutely.
Looking at Gabby, we would have never even thought that this was happening.
Yeah.
And
No.
then she ends up, killed. So you can never trust what you see on social media. And I really think that's something to hone in.
My
Everyone
mom
in her.
has-
Oh, sorry, Emily.
No,
go.
you're
No,
good.
you go.
My mom had told me from day one when I first got social media, she was like, that is only half of people's lives.
Yeah.
Everything that
Absolutely.
you
The thing
see,
that they want you to see.
exactly. You can put out what you want people to see, not what you don't want to see.
It's a
And
mask.
like
a mask.
when you're trying to
is.
protect someone, you're not going to post the bad stuff. You're not going to post the ugly stuff. So
No.
yeah, people are like, well, they looked like such a happy, like lovely couple because that's what she wanted you to see.
Yeah, she
You
was
don't want to post the
trying to
bad
protect.
parts.
She was trying to protect. You said protection is like really struck me. Trying to
Yeah.
protect herself, her
Yes.
image, her relationship. Because again, when you leave, you have that uncertainty.
Even her best friend didn't even know.
Exactly.
Before. I also just want to say before we wrap up, domestic violence is a big issue.
Yes.
It is a big issue, and it's often hidden
Mhm.
behind closed doors. So just to anyone that's watching, anyone that's in the control room, anyone right now,
One takeaway: take it seriously,
if you
please.
see somebody that might be struggling, reach out to them.
And it
help them.
doesn't have
If
to be
they-
physical
If
abuse
they
either.
don't want to take your help, that is fine. But there's
Just
a
try.
problem with our justice system that doesn't take this seriously.
Just try.
And just try. Reach out a helping hand. And
Absolutely.
if they don't take it, that's okay.
But you did your best.
You
Yeah.
did your best.
your
and
best.
that's
This is
what's
just
most
one
important.
example of it. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, there's so many other cases out there. And yes, this one was in the news. Yes, this one was on social media and very public. But this happens so much more than you think.
And then real quick, I just want to add, like, obviously we talked so much about physical abuse,
Mhm.
but that is not the only kind either. Like, there was clearly verbal abuse and like manipulation too.
Yeah. I also want to say
Absolutely.
this is not just men abusing women.
Yeah.
I know we're
It's
talking about a
everybody.
case, but women could abuse other women. Women could abuse men. It is all types. And that's
All right. Yeah. All right. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today. Gabby's family has since established the Gabby Petito Foundation aimed at supporting organizations that assist victims of domestic violence. The biggest lesson to be learned from Gabby Petito's story is to listen, speak up, and work towards a world where these tragedies are not so common. Back to you, Sophia.
Thanks, Eva. Stay tuned for our history panel as they will be playing a game of Jeopardy. We'll be right back at the desk. We are back at the desk. Now it's time for the history panel for a game of Jeopardy! Over to you, Brandon.
Thank you, Sophia. Well, it's almost time, folks. Today is our last history panel of the year. So to celebrate, we're going to be playing a game of Jeopardy! About some of our favorite panel discussions from the last year. Our competitors this evening will be Shay and Audrey versus Jamie and Yaya, with me as your Alex Trebek per se. It'll be pretty similar to normal Jeopardy! But if a team answers incorrectly, then the other team can steal. So no more talking. We're going to get right into it. So we're going to get started here. We have team 1 right here. That'll be Jamie and Yaya. Cool. We have team 2 here. I'm going to ask for a friendly game of rock, paper, scissors between you two to see who gets to control the board first.
Are we going on 3 or after 3? I do after.
On shoot. So you go on shoot.
Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
All right. So team 1, Jamie and Yaya, you guys have control of the board. Gosh. So go right ahead.
All right. What are we thinking?
I mean, you won the rock, paper, scissors. I'll let you take the first shot at this.
Let's go Exploring the World 300.
Exploring the World
Not
300.
Too difficult.
This area of Alaskan water is named after the man who discovered the Aleutian Islands.
I should know this, shouldn't I? This was last week.
Yeah.
This is mine. All right, I'd like to buzz in.
Okay.
Who is Titus Bering? Vitus Bering.
That is correct.
All right.
It is Vitus Bering.
Yes.
What is Bering?
I'm glad that you knew
There you
it.
go.
But
That's
doesn't
one.
help
All right.
us.
So team 1, that's going to be 300. You guys can maintain control of the board. Go right ahead.
Nice. All right, your turn. Go ahead.
Ooh.
You got us that question.
Let's kick it back to Exploring the World 200.
Exploring the World 200. Heinrich Schliemann horsed around and discovered the ruins of which ancient city?
Oh my god.
I think this was also last week.
It was last week. It's mine and I don't remember.
You remember?
Last episode, like the one I wasn't here for?
Oh, yes. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Forgot about that. I remember some of the answers. I don't remember which one was correct.
Just throw it out there. I won't hate you if you get it wrong.
What is Troy?
That is correct.
Is it really?
It is
Bang.
Troy.
Give me that.
Congratulations. All right. Team 1 off to a good start.
All right.
All right. You maintain control of the board.
Okay.
We're going to get to you guys soon. I
No,
promise.
please don't.
So I'm in a celebratory mood. Let's do This Is Christmas 200.
This is Christmas 200. All right.
Oh, this is
This mischievous Dutch character carries a birch rod with him to reprimand the naughty children.
Oh my gosh. What's his name? We literally all had this as an
Yes.
option.
Yeah.
Oh
I don't remember.
my freaking gosh.
If you know it, you can buzz in.
We can.
Oh,
we would have done that.
we would've done that
Is it the guy who wears blue?
No. It's the like little guy with the horns. I'm pretty sure. It's something us. It ends with a US. He just sounds evil.
It's not Krampus.
Is it Krampus?
Is it Krampus? I think maybe it's
Okay,
Krampus.
cool. It's Krampus. Who is Krampus?
Say your name.
They buzzed in first.
Belsnickel.
Who is Belsnickel?
That is correct. It is Belsnickel. So
Okay.
you guys would have gotten it wrong either way.
Alright,
So that's okay.
God.
So team 2, that's going to be 200 points for you guys. That's pretty good. All right. We're starting to get
That
back.
is a
Team
good
2, you have control of the board. What are we looking at?
You remember that, so you pick. Ooh, okay. Let's do. The Luck of the Irish 300.
The Luck of the Irish 300. All right. Let's see it. O'Neill, Nebraska has the world's largest one of these.
Buzzing in. Clover.
What is?
What is four-leaf clover?
I feel like
That
we're
is
points off of that.
not correct.
Go for it. You got it.
I thought I did.
Yeah. I think he's looking for a specific word.
I am.
So, buzz.
Yeah.
Shamrock.
What is a shamrock?
Yeah, what is shamrock?
That is correct. What is a shamrock? It is not. And please, guys, questions. Come on. This is Jeopardy. It's not a 4-leaf clover. It is a shamrock.
What's the difference?
What is the difference?
Team 1, you have control of the board.
All right, let's do Mythos of Mythos for 300.
Mythos of Mythos for 300. All right. Huitzilopochtli is a god from this ancient culture.
Buzzin,
Yes.
what is the Aztec culture?
That is correct. What
Nice
is the
enough.
Aztec? That is
Nice
from
enough.
last year, actually. That
Shout
was our
out
good
Drew
friend
Comer.
Drew Comer. Drew Comer's question from last year. All right, team 1, you maintain control of the board.
You got it.
Let's go for Exploring the World 100.
Exploring the World 100. All right. This controversial explorer has the largest city in Ohio named after him.
Who is
Christopher Columbus.
That is correct. Who is Christopher Columbus?
I
Team
don't think
2,
buzzing is how
100
Jeopardy
points.
works.
I
I thought
don't
that we
know
got
we're
the
supposed
point.
to buzz in.
Yeah. I thought we get the first shot.
First try.
Oh, well, we're doing buzzing in now.
Okay.
Oh, well,
Okay.
I'm Alex Trebek. I can make up the
All right.
rules as I
Sounds
go,
good.
obviously.
Yeah,
All right.
We'll be quicker then.
You guys have control of the board. What would you like?
Alex Trebek has a mustache, but
You know what? Let's do exploring the world 400.
Exploring the World 400. Okay. This explorer with an imprisoned-ish name landed in Antarctica to explore it and ended up having to survive the tundra for months.
Oh, nuts. I remember your whole story,
I know,
too,
like
but I
half,
don't
I think I
remember
remember
his
half
name.
his name. Like something like that. It's not helpful though.
His name? Oh my god.
Yeah, I wasn't here for this
I
one.
wasn't here, guys. I was dying in my bed. I apologize.
Can I like pick another one?
Unfortunately, no.
Nope. Just get the answer wrong and it's okay. Coup de grace. Let's go.
It's okay. If you don't have the answer, you guys can guess.
John Smith.
It is not John Smith. Do you guys have one?
Did it have like the word shackle in it or something
It did.
along that line?
It did. I'll give you that much.
Okay.
Mr.
That's about all.
That's all you got? Okay. So the answer was Ernest Shacklebolt. Imprisoned.
I was literally just about to say who is Shacklebolt, but I was like, that's too Harry Potter.
And it's a
Probably
real
not.
name.
Yeah,
It's a
Harry
real
Potter.
name.
Maybe that's Harry
Okay,
Potter.
so no points there for anybody. That's okay, but you do maintain control of the board. So it's still your guys' call. What would you like to see?
Why don't you pick one, Audrey?
Can we do odds and ends for 4?
Odds and ends for 400. This many episodes of ATD have happened in the 24-25 school year.
Oh, the whole school.
The whole school year. Counting this episode and election coverage, by the way.
Oh, and election coverage.
Yes.
Okay.
It's like a math question more than anything.
Kind of. It's a little bit of a math
Wait, would
question.
the question have to start with how many or what is?
What is, right?
What is how many is? That's either or fine. Or acceptable.
Buzzing in.
Yeah.
What is 26?
No.
What is 23?
No. Unfortunately, it's neither of those. It is 21 episodes.
You know, we were closer.
You were you were
Maybe
closer,
we
but
go
it has
like
to be
a-
exact. But you guys still have control of the board. So
Great.
you're still good.
All right. I'm gonna. Let's do This Is Christmas for 400.
This is Christmas 400. All right, let's see it. In the Nordic legend of Gryla, how many Yule lads are there?
Buzzing in how many is 13?
That is correct.
Yes.
It is
Very
13.
nice.
Very good.
Right, thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Magic number.
Team 1, you have
Right
control of the
now.
board.
Go for it.
Oh my god,
Okay,
crushing
let's
us.
do, literally, this is like embarrassing. Let's
Okay.
do odds and ends for
You're fine.
I was going to say like 1, but okay. Without a 1. Feel free
let's do one. We don't
Okay.
want
Odds
to
and
pull
ends
ahead
for
too
one. All right,
much.
remember, you can only buzz in until I'm done
pull
reading
ahead
it.
too much. You're already 12.
I'm giving you guys a fighting chance.
All right, odds and ends 100. Let's see it. The building we record in is called this.
What is
What is
Willard?
Willard?
She got it first.
Dang it.
Unfortunately.
Nicely done.
Well, I can't do that actually. That's
Team 1 continues to dominate. All right, Team 1, you have control of the board.
Dominate is a little strong.
No, it's not.
I can't see the okay, I didn't see the numbers. Let's do odds and ends 200.
Odds and ends 200. All right. The full name of this billionaire for whom
Buzz.
our media center is named after.
Wait,
Like,
middle name
Do
included?
we need the middle name or can we have the initial?
Yes,
Buzz, who is Donald P. Belisario.
that is correct. It is Donald P. Belisario.
I feel like they should get
I just said
points
until
taken
after
off.
I'm done reading shit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I feel like
got-
next time they should get points taken off.
Yeah, next time there will be.
A little trigger happy,
Reprimanding.
are we?
All right, you guys control the board.
Okay, we'll do odds and ends 5.
Odds and ends 5. Oh, this is my favorite question. Brandon's my name.
I should get it.
That
Christian
is
and Philip.
Richard, yes.
Yes, let's go.
They got my name right, so they get. They get
Oh,
Team 2,
okay.
congratulations.
I think we need a new Alex Trebek.
All right, that's big. That's big. Cuts the lead to 6. All right,
Okay.
Team
We're
2.
so back. Okay.
No, we're not.
We're getting there, Audrey. Glass half full.
Glass half full. I
Right.
like that
Okay, what do you want?
Say Luck of the Irish, yeah? Or Christmas, I think.
I don't care. Babe, pick one.
Okay. We're gonna do a Luck of the Irish for 400.
Luck of the Irish 400. Let's see it. This Japanese city features an oyster hunt to celebrate St. Patrick's Day.
Oh my god, this
Oh,
was
we
really mine.
both did one.
This was really
That
mine.
one.
Yeah, we did both. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is killing me.
I'm no help.
It's 3 letters. That's what I.
Okay,
give
that's
you
what I
guys.
figured.
It's 3 letters.
It's 3 letters.
But
Yes.
what does Issei?
Yes, that is correct. What is Issei? That's fantastic. All right,
What
Team
is
2.
Issei?
All right, you control the board with a chance to take the lead or tie.
Alright, Audrey, come on.
Okay, can we do So This Is Christmas 3?
So this is Christmas 300. Let's see it. The name Joulupukki, a Finnish Christmas figure, translates to what in English? That should have been a statement, but translates to this in English. Imagine it as that.
I remember this sort of. It's on the tip
I
of my tongue.
remember joking about this with Brandon's mom said something about this too.
Did
Like,
she?
Well, you sent in the group chat. She liked our episode.
She did like our
I'm so
episode.
unhelpful.
She liked.
I don't.
Hi, Mom.
Don't know what to say.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god, me neither.
Oh my gosh.
Just kind of gonna sit till the time runs out.
You guys can give a guess.
Okay.
I can give you a hint that it is part of the word is an animal, a type of animal.
Okay.
What is jolly fish?
No.
As in, what is Yule Cat?
No.
Oh, that
It
was
is
a good
Yule
guess.
goats. Very good
Oh, that
try,
was a
though. Yule goat or
great-
Christmas
That's a
goat.
good-
We
that's
still
a good
control the
job.
board.
You
though.
do still
Have
control
any-
the board, so you still have the opportunity. You're very close.
Audrey, let's lock in.
All right. What's our next one?
Okay, so we've not touched Mythos of Mythos, and
Mhm.
you were the champion.
You're right.
So what do you?
Last semester or 2
and
semesters ago.
You still got it.
All right, let's do Mythos of Mythos for 200.
Mythos of Mythos for
Tie it up.
200.
Get your buzzer ready.
This Nordic god is impenetrable to all threats except the mistletoe.
This is yours, and you lost
Wait.
against Yaya,
I remember,
but I don't remember which one. Nordic.
Oh my gosh, this is gonna kill me. This is gonna
I
kill
remember
me.
this. I
This is gonna kill me. I literally,
Wait,
it's on the tip of my
I'm
tongue.
like-
Just with a B.
I remember because we
I'm trying
had
to think of any Nordic god, actually.
maybe
Great.
it started with a B.
That's what I thought.
You guys got it. I believe in you.
Oh,
Please don't.
Just shoot a guess out there. 10, 9,
Oh guys.
No,
Eight.
this is gonna,
I
this is
can't
gonna
believe
suck.
it.
I'm not gonna have it.
Oh my
6,
gosh.
5,
I'm not pretending I know it. I don't.
3,
Why do I want to say Borat?
2, 1. Very nice. And does anyone have a final guess they want to just shoot out there?
Do I say what is Brandon? Do I get the point?
No, I wish. The answer is Balder. What is
Oh,
Balder?
I would like to know though.
But you guys still control the board with a chance to take the leader tie. So
We still control the board.
Okay, Luck of the Irish 200.
luck of the Irish 200. All right, let's see it.
Let's get a little bit of that look.
The town of New London is renamed to what for St. Patty's Day every year?
Yes.
What is New Dublin?
That is correct. It is.
Very
New
nice.
Dublin.
I had no recollection of that.
Wow. And team 2 just like that. All right, team 1, you have there's a lot of
Okay, we can
500
take
still
a breath.
remaining.
Take
Just
a breath.
saying.
We're scared of
I was
those
gonna
ones.
pick
it
one, but I'm
seems.
like, it's not my
Christmas
turn.
or Mythos. I'm thinking we go 500.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Mythos or Christmas.
Christmas.
Okay.
All right.
This is Christmas 500.
This is Christmas 500.
I love Jeopardy.
From this country, the Christmas legend of Dead Moroz originates.
Buzz, Russia.
What is?
That
What
is
is Russia? What is Russia? What is
correct.
Russia?
That is correct.
This is like the third time she's answered without saying what is.
You have to ask questions.
I'm sorry.
I don't want controversy.
Passionate.
Minus 500.
God forbid a girl has passion and enthusiasm.
God forbid a girl doesn't know the rules to the game.
All
That's
right.
crazy.
God forbid a girl's all excited.
Our new leaders, Team 2.
Jeez.
You have control of the board.
Okay, what do you want?
Okay, what do you
Generational
want?
choke over here from
Let's
Team
do
1.
odds
It's
and
not
ends
over
for 3. Let's finish
Odds
the
and ends for
category.
3.
I'm a little scared.
I have to finish the question. The date of ATD's longest episode ever. It was very presidential. That was really close.
Rock, paper, scissors?
Rock, paper,
Sure.
scissors.
But Shane Jamie. Shane Jamie.
Shane
Okay,
Jamie,
okay,
yeah.
Okay. On shoot. On shoot.
On shoot, okay.
Mm.
Go, let's go.
Okay, what is November 6th, 2024?
That is incorrect.
Buzz, what is November 5th, 2024?
That is correct.
Ah, political
is
science
correct.
major, baby.
Very
Go
good.
play.
That is correct.
Hello.
Wow.
You got my
All right. You guys control the board.
I said it so quiet.
You got it.
That's
It's too close.
Close.
Let's do Luck of the Irish 100.
Luck of the Irish 100. Let's see it. This major American city dyes its river green every year to celebrate St. Patty's.
Where is Chicago?
What is Chicago? Where is Chicago? Yes, that.
Okay.
Where is Chicago? It's in Illinois.
Where is?
All right. You guys still control the board. A narrow lead of 300. What would you guys like to see?
I'm not picking another one. I'm scared. I don't want it to be on my conscience.
I wasn't there for explaining the rules, so we're not doing that.
Okay.
I want to do. We gotta widen the gap. So let's go Mythos of Mythos 400.
Mythos of Mythos 400. All right, let's see it. The son of Odysseus, soon to be played by Tom Holland.
Who is Achilles?
No.
Oh my gosh. What's his name? I literally just listened to Epic like a couple months ago. It starts with a T, I'm pretty sure.
It does.
Does it not?
It does.
It does.
It does.
It does with a T.
15,
Thank you.
14,
TH?
13,
We're just going to spell it out.
12, 11, 10, 9, 8. I don't think you're going to get it. The correct answer is Telemachus.
No, not in a million years would I have gotten
I
that.
literally was listening to the
Who is
musical.
Telemachus? But you guys still control the board. You still have a chance
Okay.
to widen the gap. A lot of 500s left, guys. I'm just saying.
I'm scared of them.
I'm scared.
What would you guys like to see?
Do you have an opinion?
I think we should finish out Luck of the Irish.
Okay.
Luck of the Irish 500.
Clear it out.
Luck of the Irish 500.
I could use a lot of that.
This Mediterranean country, where Brandon spent his 21st birthday, participates in what's called the Global Greening.
What is Croatia?
What is Croatia? That is correct.
Okay.
Oh my God, we're
Alright.
the lead again.
Back in the lead.
I don't like
we
it.
got it. We got it. We got it.
All right.
We got it.
Oh, it's stressing me out.
What would you guys like to see?
Buzz actually
Yeah, you hit it hard.
Should we do? Let's do 100. I don't
A
want
100?
We're gonna.
You don't want to widen our gap?
I mean, we could, but like the thing is,
Assuming you get
if they even if they get that one right, like,
Right. Okay, let's go. So this is Christmas for 100.
So this is Christmas for 100. This crazy, evil European Christmas figure had a horror movie come out about him in 2017. Shay got it.
What is Krampus?
What is Krampus? That is correct. That is very correct. Who is Krampus? What is Krampus?
I think I need to.
He's an evil guy.
We need to
I mean,
replay on
you
that.
know.
We're going to need to review that one.
All right, you guys maintain control of the board.
Something.
Let's go.
What do you think?
Exploring the world 5.
Yeah.
Exploring the World 5.
Let's do it.
This African explorer was the first person of African descent to explore North America and happened to discover the Sunshine State.
Wait. Does it have to be? Oh wait. I think I do. This was
I remember
mine.
the slide.
Jamie.
It's not an easy name to get.
No, I know, because it's
But
like.
can I say like the
difficult to
anglicized
pronounce
version of the
even,
name,
too.
or
You can guess that. Guess that.
Spell
it
two
was
names.
something?
Well, it was something.
Well, okay.
That's a good
You got
point.
Sitting here on the sideline.
Anything over here?
No.
No? We only have a little bit.
Mustafa something.
Who is?
Who is Mustafa?
4
It
times,
starts
right?
with A. Azamori.
The answer is? The answer is correct.
Oh my God.
Mustafa
That's
Azamori. Very
So
good.
That is an
Very
impossible
good.
poll.
All right, so we are going to do Mythos of Mythos 100 here because we're saving the 500 for Final Jeopardy where you can wager as much as you like.
Oh.
Okay.
So-
I don't like that.
This Greek god is most widely known as the god of thunder.
Who was Thor?
Who is Zeus?
No.
Who is Zeus?
Oh, okay.
That is correct. I'll give it to him because you guys have a pretty commanding lead. Team
I've
one.
not seen a single Marvel movie.
Yeah, that's
Wrong mythology,
Oh,
babe.
Greek? I didn't read that.
Thor is Nordic.
Yeah, I had my idea.
All right.
I buzzed.
All right, guys.
okay.
So you are allowed to wager as much as you'd like on this final one.
I don't
Wager points?
Wager points
Yeah.
as much as you can have.
What else
What
would
do
you
you
So
do?
you have 2,300. Your max could be
Do you think
2,300.
we're
What would
gonna
you
get
like
it?
to wager?
I mean, it's all or nothing.
Let's do like what, 700?
What?
Well, 700 would only tie you.
Yeah, we need to win.
Shoot.
Unless they get it wrong.
Let's do
Oh my God.
1,000.
All right.
Crash it out.
1,000.
Team one,
Yeah.
1,000.
One band on the table.
Team two,
We'll do 400.
400 for team two. All right, let's see the question. All right, so you guys are both, by the way, going to say this to each other quietly, and then you're going to have an answer at the same time together because we're not going to do a buzzer on this one. It's not how Final Jeopardy works. This Mesopotamian myth is known as the oldest surviving work of literature in the world. I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds to work this out.
I think that's right.
Well, you have 30 seconds to think of it.
That is a myth. I know other stuff that's like from that area, but I don't think it's a myth. Gilgamesh is a myth. I feel like that would work. I don't know.
A lot of whispering going on here,
You
guys.
know that?
10, 9,
Could he maybe
8,
saying that anyway?
7,
I don't know what it is.
6,
Correct.
5, 4, 3,
Let them go.
2,
I don't remember. I think it's
1. All right, answers are due. Our leaders, can you remind the audience of how much you guys wagered?
We wagered 400.
400 was
points.
wagered here. You guys wagered
1,000.
a band. All right. Winners, your answer.
You got it? Okay. What is question? Can you come back to us? No. It's fine. We have our answer is blank.
Okay,
We
no
have
answer. Got
Oh
it.
my god. I'm gonna be sick.
You guys.
Steph Curry from half court.
No. What is No, I don't know. I'm just gonna name something that I know comes from the Mesopotamian region.
Okay.
What is Hammurabi's code?
All right.
It started with a G, I'm pretty sure though.
The answer is the Epic of
Oh,
Gilgamesh.
my
God,
Are you serious right now?
Yes.
Brandon, guys, I literally was telling Jamie, I was like, no, Gilgamesh
should
is
have written
Hindi.
it down.
Gilgamesh is Hindi. Gilgamesh is Hindi.
We should
That's what I'm
have
thinking.
Wow.
I literally told him Gilgamesh. I
So
think we
that
should get
means
that.
that our final score will be Team 1, 1,300.
Frauds.
Team 2, 2,600.
Frauds.
And that will be the end of it.
She didn't even say the answers right, so the audience will be on our side.
Yeah. They'll hear about this.
Well, that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
They'll hear us. I literally, oh my gosh, guys, I'm actually so mad. Sorry, do your ass.
All right. For the final time, that's all we have today, folks. Thank you for your time. This silly little panel has been a highlight of my week for the last year and a half, and I couldn't be more proud to have been a part of it. Myself and Yaya will miss you all. We will miss being here. We will miss being around the amazing people who make this show possible. My gratitude is endless. My heart is full. I will miss the studio, my second home. They say that it's the people that make it worth it and not the place. And to that, I say, why can't it be both? Back to you, Sophia.
Thanks, Brandon. Sadly, that is all of the time we have for today. In the meantime, stay updated with ATD on all our socials at PSU at the desk, and let us know what you want us to cover next. I am saddened to say that this is our final episode of the 3rd season. I would like to give a special shout out to all of our graduating members and express our collective gratitude for their hard work and passion for our production. I'm Sophia Tabernet, and we will see you back at the desk in September. Have a great summer.
Oh.